For as much as I give Shigaraki, one thing that man can do is nuke the battlefield at the slightest inconvenience, right? But hey, if you want to spend that to him being a and being Sasuke and saying, yeah, I can't play ninja with you bums, okay, then be my guest, or whatever. Quick, like 40-second disclaimer before we start the video. A lot of the arguments I make in this video are off the top of my head, so I will miss minute details. For example, you'll hear me say 4 or 5 times that Deku breaks his finger in the entrance exam. That is not true. I believe he actually breaks his entire arm. So yeah, there's gonna be those little things that I misremember. So if you'll do me a favor, either let it slide or point it out to me in the comments, and then I'll try to get it right in the follow-up video if there ever is one. Just don't be a dick about it, okay? I'm trying to defend Deku here, and I just slightly misremembered certain events. All right, let's get into the vid. Wait a minute. These niggas gotta be rage baiting. 8 ways Koichi is a better protagonist than Deku.
Boy, ain't no way, boy. Boy, ain't no way, boy.
That's a devious title, and with that being said, it should be very straightforward what this video is going to be about, so let's start debating. Anyways, boys, we're starting with a haymaker, okay? Number 8 doesn't rely on a powerful inherited quirk. Full quote on screen, but plot points of this take are, and I quote, through intensive, dude, I lost my tongue on that. Let's try this again. Through intensive training and sheer inventiveness, Koichi takes a basic skill and makes it incredibly efficient. They also added, I'll paraphrase, Koichi's realistic backstory makes all his achievements seem well earned, unlike Deku. All right, first off, we're not going to imply and act like Deku isn't a hard worker or like his achievements were just given to him, right? We're not going to spread the fallacy that one for all is some automatic Zenkai boost. This isn't the Amazing Spider-Man. Deku didn't get bit and start climbing walls the next day, okay? When Deku inherited one for all Might took Midoriya's ass to an island, paused, and said, oh, by the way, I had to put on 600 pounds of muscle to handle this quirk. Yeah, I'll be here to watch while you figure that out, by the way. So Deku works his ass off to handle one for all. And the funny part about it is, when he goes to hero school, he can only handle like 1 to 10% of his power. So that same air quotes legendary quirk ended up breaking his finger during I believe the entrance exams. And they want to talk about inventiveness. Deku channels the energy of All For One into his finger, basically sacrificing it because he knows if he uses the quirk traditionally, it will break his entire hand or even his fucking arm. Now, based on the animated show, and there's only one animated season of Vigilantes, going band for band. Dog, you cannot say that Deku is not inventive. He literally channeled the energy through a finger because it was gonna break his arm, right? He literally finessed the Bakugo. Bakugo is a better fighter than Deku. And then he ended up having to not 1v1, but he ended up getting a team battle, which he took on a 1v1 versus Deku, who goes on to be the #1 fucking student because he wins the tournament, right? So he goes on 1v1 versus Bakugo and finesses his ass even though he can't use his quirk. I mean, this is cool. It's just, why are we taking shots at Deku as if he doesn't do the same thing? Deku had to train. He trained a lot. I mean, like a third of the show is training arcs, right? So I don't get why he's saying like, well, he had to work to make his quirk good. Deku literally couldn't fucking use the quirk. So there's only one animated season of Vigilantes, so you're gonna have to argue manga for manga in the comments based on the show. But anyways, you cannot fucking say that Koichi's achievements feel more real than Deku's. One, they start from the same point. Midoriya had no quirk but had like the hero instinct. Koichi has a lame quirk and I guess a sense of duty. And second, I mean, I just found out that Vigilantes has at least 14 volumes, but if you're like me and you didn't know Vigilantes was a real thing until the animated show came out, you're probably like, what the fuck did Koichi achieve? Comparing Deku having to finesse and defeat Bakugo in training to Koichi learning how to break and turn more effectively, is it really fair to Koichi. Like that's not even fucking close. But yeah, point one, I mean, yeah, he built from the ground up without a crutch. But the thing is, like, I that's just the straw man, because I mean it's a good point, but it's poorly represented because Deku had to work for it. Enough said. Number 7 has a closer bond with ordinary people. He says Koichi does not get training in a fancy hero school or compete in spectacular competitions. Rather, his story starts with him helping neighbors, saving lost pets, and scrubbing out the graffiti. His connection to ordinary people is real and persistent and supports the notion that heroism begins with small kindness. Anyways, yeah, so my only real rebuttal to he has a closer bond with ordinary people is that, like, Deku isn't out in the streets doing D-ranked missions because he's in school. It's shown later that, like, seniors, for lack of a better word, hit the streets and patrol, do missions, right? They actually go out to hero agencies, right? And you know what I'm saying? Do the people pleasing and get into the PR shit. But Deku was training. He was in class, and by the time he got a chance to do the D-rank missions and shit, right, because he was out there with Lemillion, right, patrolling and shit, and then he went him and I think it was Bakugo, him and somebody else, it was him, Bakugo, and Todoroki go to train under Endeavor, right? By the time he basically got to do that, Chisaki showed up. So they had to handle Chisaki, and then when he got done handling Chisaki, he had to go through another training arc because, well, I mean, he's in school, and then when that training arc was over, a fucking war started. So I mean, yeah, Koichi has a closer bond with the people because he's not in fucking school and he's not in the middle of a war. So I mean, yeah, you can say Koichi is, one of the reasons why Koichi is a better protagonist than Deku is because he has a closer bond with people, but I have to say Deku doesn't have a close bond with the people because he didn't have time to be a fucking crowd pleaser. Like, you can disagree, but like, yeah, I mean, he's right, but you really, I don't know the word for it, where you when you omit parts of the, like, you omit facts to make your argument seem better. Like, he's technically right, but you're really missing the point about Deku not having a close bond with people. Number 6, he says never loses humility even as he grows stronger. And this confused me, but let's see what he has to say. As Koichi grows stronger, his ego does not inflate. He is just as soft-spoken and respectful throughout. He doesn't flaunt, doesn't alienate others, does not consider himself superior to anyone, although it is difficult to agree that his power becomes all the more impressive. On the other hand, Deku loses his way in terms of humility every once in a while, particularly, yeah, we don't give about that. This can confuse me. So they say that Deku becomes alienated from his allies at times. Look, I'ma keep it a bean with you. I didn't care for the Deku Vigilante arc, so I never rewatched it. But based on what I remember, Deku didn't leave because he was like, yeah, you niggas suck, alright? This wasn't Sasuke saying, I can't get stronger playing ninja with a fake Uchiha, an idiot, and a damsel disguised as a medic, right? I'm pretty sure Deku ran away for two interlocked reasons. One, because he didn't want his friends to get hurt, and more importantly, he didn't want civilians to get hurt, right? And also, he found out that the League of Villains is after him. For as much shit as I give Shigaraki, one thing that man can do is nuke the battlefield at the slightest inconvenience. So Deku is like, I need to get stronger to beat this nigga, okay? And since I couldn't beat this nigga, he set a bunch of villains free. Then Midoriya finds out if Shigaraki or his niggas see Deku, it's on sight regardless of the circumstances. So why the fuck would I go to not only the most popular place in the country, right? The place that is doubling as a homeless shelter or like a refugee shelter because people just don't have homes at this point in time, and there's a sentient nuke coming after him. So I mean, yeah, you can spin that into him being arrogant and abandoning his team, but it was more like, dog, I'm gonna take one for the team and I gotta get out of here because this sentient nuke and his homies is coming after me. So if I'm here in this building with, I don't know, half the fucking civilian population, right? They're gonna come nuke this bitch, and I'm gonna be in it, and it's gonna be my fault when everybody dies. So I'm just gonna like leave, right? But hey, if you want to spend that to him being an asshole and being Sasuke and saying, yeah, I can't play ninja with you bums, okay, then it be my guest. Whatever. Number 5. Oh, this is a good one. Okay, narrative isn't driven by destiny or prophecy. Okay, he says this, and this is a direct quote: his path is not a destined excellence, but a storyline of circumstance, choice, and failure. This makes his arc more relatable and touching.
Is this nigga serious?
Oh, I didn't even read this part. Viewers do not see a chosen one growing in stature. They see an ordinary man evolve into an exceptional human. There is a human element of reliability. Who is this woman? Get her off my... Who is this? Excuse me. So is this just like, is it going to go away? they tell me to read, and they tell you can't watch videos all day. Go read something. Try to read an article. They put a fucking ad in the middle of it, and it won't go away. Now, as I was saying before, I was rudely interrupted. Evolve into an exceptional human. There's a human element of relatability that cannot be ignored, and is only sometimes present in destiny-based storytelling, such as what Deku goes through. Honestly, at this point, it sounds like he doesn't like Deku just because he's the main character. I'm almost regurgitating this because I just watched a video about this with Naruto. Deku is not a child of prophecy, and he was not destined to be a hero. In the earlier seasons, they tell him, yeah, by the way, you were not the choice to inherit One for All, right? It was actually Lemillion, and I believe there was a third candidate. I can't remember if the third candidate was named or not. Deku ended up getting it because they were in the process of trying to figure out someone else besides Lemillion, right? Because I guess somebody else didn't agree. I don't remember. I just know Lemillion was one of the choices. So by that alone, he can't be a hero of destiny because no one expected him to be here. To double down, Deku wasn't chosen specifically to be All for One. So like, he just so happened to be the user of the quirk when All for One started going crazy again. Like, and that may seem convenient, but that's just how shows work. Naturally, if you're having an action show, it's gonna take place during the action. It's not gonna be... If this scenario happened when the floating lady, you know, All Might's mentor had the quirk, then the show would have been taking place then, right? So One for All wasn't created or developed for Deku. It was developed to gather the strength to defeat the most overpowered quirk in the show, right? If you prefer a more rooted micro story, sure, Koichi is the guy, but like, this guy is downright wrong for saying Deku's story is destiny based. At no point, at least in the animated show, did anyone say we were waiting for you, specifically you Deku, specifically you Midoriya, to inherit the quirk so we can go after All for One. Yeah, that just never happened. I feel like there's more to it. Like, genuinely, Deku was not a child of prophecy or destiny. He was born with no fucking quirk, right? He was born with no quirk, and then he goes to school, and then like, he meets, what's his fucking name? He meets like the Jet guy, and the Jet guy didn't want to train him at first. Now, obviously, he was pulling his leg and shit like that, and he ends up training him regardless. But Deku was not a child of prophecy. He was not born with some crazy talent. He wasn't... There we go, that's the word. Deku isn't like a prodigy, right? He was born as a normal human. He gets the quirk because he has... well, hero instincts. Like, that's literally his only thing. He's gonna run into the face of danger no matter the cost to his body, which becomes a thing later. Like, it wasn't... if anyone was going to... there aren't any child of prophecy or destiny people in the show besides Sir Night-Eye. Yeah, I guess you can loosely classify him as it, but like, literally, like, even the closest one would be Lemillion. But the thing is, Lemillion isn't even a child of prophecy because he was born with a quirk, that wasn't very efficient at first. Like, it didn't work. It was weird. It took his clothes off and whatnot. He just finessed it into being very good. Like, Lemillion just became strong as shit, and he became so strong, he was the top of his class and whatnot, and they wanted him to be the next vessel for One For All. But he wasn't a child of prophecy, he just fucking earned it. I mean, you could say Todoroki is like a child of prophecy, but he was basically for lack of a better word, bioengineered, right? And then he's like rebellious. Like, he's not, there are no childs of prophecy in My Hero Academia. The story isn't, hey, we waited a long time for someone to be able to pick up Excalibur to go slay the fucking dragon, right? That's not what the show is about. Now, obviously, I can't really tell you what My Hero Academia is about, because there's a lot of things you could pull from the show. But one thing you cannot pull from the show is that Deku is some child of prophecy, some prodigy who literally, think about it. We brought up Naruto. Sasuke is a great example of a child of prophecy, albeit for the wrong thing. He was born in a family that gets basically standard issue talent. He was at the top of his class. He was significantly better than his teammates, and basically he was the best ninja in the village for not the village, but in his class for a very long time. He grows up with the talent, he grows up with the hatred. He has one thing that he wants to do, one thing he has, and he literally goes around proclaiming, it is my destiny to kill Itachi. And you know what I mean? And then we find out that, you know, him and Naruto are opposites, right? One's the moonlight, one's the fucking sun, right? Yin yang and type shit. But skip that. All right, let's get into number 4. In 4, he basically says that Koichi understands his limits, and Koichi is strategic and basically knows when to tactically retreat. He says he says that Deku dives into action and accuses him of kamikaze attacks, and I'm just like, what's the point? I mean, you're making the claim that Koichi is a better protagonist than Deku, and one of your reasons is that Koichi ducks fades in a hero show. That's that hater shit, dude. Deku not ducking phase and jumping into action despite what may happen to him is literally the reason why My Hero Academia is about Deku and is not about Lemillion, alright? Like, it's the reason he makes it into Hero Academy in the first place. It's the catalyst to him becoming a hero. And it's literally what makes him special, because like I said, he was born without a quirk. Also, yeah, his biggest idol is presumably the #1 fade runner in Japan. So Midoriya running in to save people, whether it be his bully Bakugo or the little orphan kid, is a positive trait. Like, I think it's such a straw man to try to flip Deku saving someone even at the cost of his own, you know what I'm saying, even at the cost of his own body, like with the jelly monster or the freaking power-up muscle guy. I don't understand how you can flip that into a negative and be like, yeah, Koichi sees the jelly monster in the power-up muscle guy, it says, nah, got a blast. And that makes him a better protagonist. And the thing is, I know sometimes like you can flip the protagonist is not always about being a hero or whatever, but the thing is, these are hero shows. Like, I know it's titled My Hero Academia Vigilantes, but they're doing hero work. They're doing hero shit even though they weren't good enough to get the official title of being a hero. So I don't understand how you're supposed to be the protagonist of a hero show and you're ducking fades and that's considered a positive. I don't understand that. Like, you're supposed to get there to say, you know what, can you imagine? I mean, obviously this happens because like self-preservation in real life, but can you imagine a show about being a firefighter and then there's another show about vigilante firefighters or some shit, and then the main character is running into the building, saving babies, you know, pulling cats out of the fire, you know, he's freaking cranking the damn fire hydrant and running it into the building. And in the next one, or in the sub show, this other dude, he sees the house fire, he's like, nah, this thing just reached 2,000 degrees, it's about to have a backblast, I ain't going in there, it is what it is. And if you're stuck in there, We gonna come collect your bones. And then you're like, yeah, you know what? I like that guy better because he has a sense of self-preservation. Dude, I don't get it. I don't fucking get it. Number 3, he says, vigilantes allows for deeper narrative risk. And we're avoiding all of that. I just gotta say, like, what the fuck does that have to do with Midoriya? Like, it's literally a preference. You like Koichi's situation better than Deku's, but dumbing Deku's timeline down to world ranking boards and PR is just, that's just absolutely criminal. Especially since you're saying, he says that in Deku's world, it's basically a world of ranking boards and PR, and I that's just so disingenuous. Especially since, one, Deku isn't even a ranked fucking hero, nor do I ever remember Deku saying anything about wanting to climb the ranks or mentioning wanting to be ranked. Like, I didn't hear that whatsoever. Now, you could infer that he wants to be number 1 because he's inspired by All Might, but you'd be stretching. And then also to say that Deku's timeline or whatever revolves around world ranking boards and PR after they crucified fucking Uraraka for wanting to be a hero for the money is absolutely absurd. Maybe, yeah, being a high-ranked hero is a big part of that timeline, but when it comes to the actual characters of the show, like when it comes to class 1A, class 1B, right, and the teachers of those, like Aizawa, you can just look at Aizawa and tell he does not give one flying fuck about where he's ranked on a fucking PR board, and you do not hear none, absolutely none of the students say anything about wanting to be ranked higher, right? They're not even the arrogant ones. And then his second to last point is he doesn't idolize blindly. He sees flaws in heroes type shit. So, like, what I gotta say to this is, in the animated show, All Might is a big part of Midoriya's life. He's basically his father figure. But outside of a move or two named after like cities, because that's what All Might does, All Might doesn't affect Deku's actions or personality. Like, All Might is like a grappler, right? He fights with wrestle moves and a mix of punches as finishers, right? So he wrestles people, he tosses them, and then he'll throw a punch in there to like finish and shit like that. Despite training under All Might and idolizing him, Deku is more of like a boxer, right? He throws punches and kicks. He's not like a martial artist in terms of doing like crazy jujitsu or Muay Thai, but he be throwing them motherfuckers, right? And it's implied that after All Might was able to use 100% of All for One, because they don't really mention the time, you know, when he says he had to put on the 600 pounds of muscle, they don't mention anything about what he went through to actually put on that 600 pounds of muscle. They were just like, yeah, I put on 600 pounds of muscle, and ever since then I just been kicking ass and chewing bubblegum, and you don't see any bubblegum in the show. So yeah, so after he reached 100%, he just washed everyone. So basically throughout the show, I mean, maybe there's some things that I forgot, but I don't remember him having any real advice or cool techniques to pass over to Deku. I mean, we watched Deku in the beginning of the series, right, keep a book of everyone's pros and cons. In the first training arc, we see Deku like lose fights. You know, we see him having to destroy half of his body to win a fight. He had to destroy his finger to get into the fucking school. He had to destroy his body to save the little kid with the hat with the dead parents and shit. Like, he be doing this, and I think he destroyed, no, he had Eri for that one. So like, at no point was, because I remember there were some times where Deku was in the hospital, right? So there was no point where he's in the hospital and All Might pulls up and is like, hey, I went through that too. This is how you can avoid that happening. You know what I'm saying? Or you could do this move and it won't. You know what I'm saying? Like, at no point was he like, this is the specific thing that you should do to avoid this. This is a specific move, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, he doesn't really give him anything. And then also, like, tangent aside, I don't understand this point because, like, yes, he idolizes All Might, but he doesn't start absorbing his way of thinking or mimicking his actions on any major scale, if at all. So, like, I don't get it. Yes, Deku is a bigger fan of All Might than Koichi, but Deku doesn't have a literal collection of all of his fucking collector hoodies. And oh, here we go. Number 1, a more well-rounded and mature character. Koichi feels like a person, not a symbol. Koichi is not only mature in age, but is also emotionally balanced. He handles fear, excitement, loss, and self-doubt plausibly and healthily. Is healthily a word? No, like literally my response to this is like, okay. I'm trying to think of moments where Deku was being like over dramatic. Outside of the slice of life episodes, Deku is rather serious and neutral. Like, I mean, there's a few scenes where Uraraka and it's just like awkward because, well, I mean, dating in a fucking anime, of course, is going to be over dramatic and awkward. But I never got the impression that Deku is immature or over dramatic. Like, I don't even know what to say. Like, this seems like he likes the writing of vigilantes better than the main show, and he just used Deku as rage bait to get you to read the article. And I mean, rage baiting isn't inherently bad. You know, you gotta do what you gotta do to get the views and shit like that, but I don't get this one either. Like, I feel like these were things that I feel like, you know, they expressed themselves rather similar, or at least not different enough for me to say, yeah, one is more mature than the other. Now, this is kind of like with me with Shigaraki, right? To where, like, is Shigaraki a good antagonist? Pretty much, yeah, I'd say he's okay. But is he a good villain? Fuck no. If you're saying that Koichi is debatably a better hero than Deku, I still disagree. But you have more of an argument because, like, he's more of the people level, and he does, like he said, the people pleasing and shit like that. And Deku is more, I beat up villains. But even if you classify Deku as just the I beat up villains kind of guy, you are woefully not underestimating, but you're just ignoring a big part of what makes Deku like special. I mean, again, 14 volumes, maybe there's stuff in there to where it's like, okay, but at this point in the time, to me, because I don't read manga, so you're comparing like an incomplete product to a damn near finished one. So like we have 7 seasons of Midoriya, we have 1 animated season of Koichi. Like, there's no way, you know what I'm saying? There's no way you can say he's a better protagonist than Deku based on the anime. I mean, Deku has just done so much more, especially for the city and for the stuff. I genuinely don't get it. But like, to me, being a protagonist, you know, it's obviously depends on what show you're in. But in this show, basically, you need to get rid of Shigaraki, and well, to get rid of Shigaraki, you have to get rid of All For One and whatnot. So the big thing about My Hero Academia is, one, school. So like, what are you doing in school? How are you doing in the school events? Which in the school events, I honestly don't remember, because a lot of the times the school events is more about letting other characters shine while also developing Midoriya. So like, a lot of the times Midoriya will have like a thing or two in there that shows his progress, but for the most part it's just showing off the other characters. And then, yeah, what are you doing to stop that? And Deku is I think he's an underrated protagonist, and he's pretty much held back by either, you can say, writing or his villain. Deku is a good protagonist. He is a good fucking hero. He has no quirk. He goes and saves Bakugo, a significantly stronger character than him, from a freaking jelly monster. And then he's about to fail the fucking entrance exams. He goes and saves somebody, I can't remember who it was, I think it was Uraraka, from this gigantic robot, which was there as a like deterrent. It was there to keep them from going certain places. He breaks his finger destroying the fucking robot, gets into that, saving someone. So he one, didn't have a quirk and save somebody. Then he gets a quirk that doesn't fucking work, right? He can't even use it properly, and he saves someone. And then he goes in there, you know, training arc, finesses Bakugo and shit like that. I can't remember what happened during the actual fighting tournament. I think, yeah, I don't remember. He loses to somebody. Anyways, skip that. All right, big picture, macro. Chisaki is planning on making a quirk deleter, and he's going to steal quirks from hero. He's going to sell that to villains so they can steal or delete quirks from heroes, and then sell the cure to the heroes, having a monopoly on the thing. All right, Deku beats the bull. He beats the Mario coins out of Shizuki. Now Shizuki did get weakened by Lemillion. Lemillion put that motherfucking work in, but it beats the Mario coins out of fucking Shizuki, right? Then he goes to the training arc. You know, he does the training arc shit. He comes back. You know, I don't think people give him enough credit. When I say he put the pause on Shigaraki, he was putting pause on Shigaraki. And the thing was, he wasn't even the only one. Endeavor put the beats on Shigaraki. He literally killed him at least 4 times. I'm exaggerating. He killed him at least 3 times in that fight. So yeah, everybody was just having their way with Shigaraki. No pause. Take that as you will. So not only does he put the pause on Shigaraki, in the final season, he comes back. And I cannot think of an adverb to describe how badly he was putting the beats on Shigaraki. I cannot think of a word in the English language that can describe how badly he was putting it on Shigaraki. He was beating that ass. He was spanking that man. All right. And I mean, you can say, wow, it's just fighting and shit like that. But like, it's a hero show. There's good and evil. And at some point, there has to be, it's literally every media in the world, every show, every movie, every anime. There has to be a conflict at some point. This isn't even in the slice of life, there has to be some kind of conflict, right? This is the conflict. When it gets to the conflict, Deku shows up, right? He's a good protagonist. He's a good hero. I don't get it. Koichi, maybe he lives up to the hype, you know? 14 volumes. He got to be doing something right to get 14 fucking volumes. But at this point in time, you only got 1 enemy a season compared to 7. And even in the first 2 seasons, Deku, he wasn't bad. He's a good protagonist. I don't get it. Rants aside, let's see these comments. Vigilante's story always appeared more to me, especially the fact that the protagonists are not hell-bent on following orders and doing the absolute best and good. Not that you shouldn't, but sometimes rules are made to be built in order to do the greater good. I mean, I see where he's coming from, but like literally they had that arc. Like when they were going to save Bakugo, you know, there was the whole thing where they're like, I can't remember who it was. I think it was Ingenium, who's a fraud. He's like, dude, we can't leave the thing. They told us to stay here so we can blah, 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 blah. And somebody punches him in the face, I think, or they slap him or something, or he punches somebody. And they're like, dude, we're gonna go save Baku no matter what. They defied the rules there. They went against that league. You know what I'm saying? They're not just following orders. Dude, freaking goddamn. Oh, when Deku and them were in the hospital, right? They weren't allowed to do hero work because they weren't technically heroes, right? They're still in training. And they go and save somebody. I think this was after. And then the freaking chief police chief goes up and they're like, dude, you guys are getting suspended from the school because you guys broke the rules. And they're like, well, you would have if you were there. Wink, wink, right? And then, you know what I'm saying? Like, everyone's not just, yes, sir, type flight security in My Hero Academia. Like, as a matter of fact, I don't remember shit about the rules after that. What are you talking about? I might be missing something. I'm gonna give y'all the benefit of the doubt. Maybe there was more than that. But off the top of my head, that's all I remember is Ingenium saying we can't leave this fucking place because they said we cannot leave this fucking place. Plus, we already lost a teammate. I don't want to lose another one, blah, blah, blah. And they were like, nah, fuck that. We going to go get our boy. And then afterwards, they were like, yo, y'all shouldn't have fucking been there, but we gonna let it slide. I actually agree with this. Koichi's a better protagonist than Deku. You can really see a difference and like Koichi better than Deku. We're gonna ignore that because like he doesn't give a reason. So like I can't tell him, dude, you're bullshit. And Deku is 10,000% a better protagonist than Koichi because he is, but maybe he feels this way based on the manga. I haven't read the fucking manga. All right, so recap the end of 8. He says he doesn't rely on the powerful quirk, inherited quirk. First off, Deku had to earn the quirk. Now you could say that he didn't do enough to like earn getting the quirk, but everything he does after receiving One for All, yo, he definitely deserves the quirk. Like, he earned it. Like, he put in work for that, and he destroyed his fucking body to master that quirk. So just completely null and void. And number 7 has a closer bond with ordinary people. Sure, cool. You know, Koichi is a hero on the micro level. Deku, because he's the main antagonist of the main timeline show, of course his issues are going to be bigger, and they don't have enough time to focus on doing the crowd pleasing stuff. But even if you get into the show, he's in school. He don't got time. He's not sent out to do the D rank shit. And then when he's basically leveled up enough, or not graduated, but progressed through the school enough to do the D rank mission shit, he has to fight Chisaki. And then after that, there's another training arc, and you can't leave school in the middle of the training arc to go do D-rank missions to get cat for people. And then as soon as that's over, he has to fight a war where the enemy, the League of Villains, is coming after him specifically. So you could say Koichi is closer to the people. I say Deku could have been as close, if not closer to the people, if he wasn't actively training to defend those people, fighting to keep heroes from getting their quirks deleted, then training to defend those people again, and then actively getting hunted by someone. And then yeah, the other points, they're not even worth talking about. But anyways, yeah, hopefully this will be relatively quick to edit and shit like that. I need to get a video out. At some point I will start the video going over the entirety of My Hero Academia. In that video, I just gotta find some points for it. I know one of the points I want to do is Deku is a better hero than people think. I think Deku is rather underrated, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think he's a really good hero. I think he's actually one of the better characters in the show. Like, and I didn't really give him a lot of attention at first because, like, main character, we're all about side characters and shit like that, side characters and villains. But Deku is a good fun character, and he might actually be the best character in the show, like real shit. So yeah, with that being said, remember even though Max, we know we have next sponsored by Atari.